Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the new Nintendo Shack XL Galaxy Edition, sponsored by PlaySomeVideoGames.com. I am Jason Lacey, joined with me, my cohort on this new journey through all things Nintendo, Mr. Donnie Reese.
Greetings, Koopalings!
I've been waiting to see that again in all its glory.
We have our own show, Jason.
We have our own show. It's so funny because we joked about this for so long. Like, Donnie, I want to have a Nintendo show. We need to have a Nintendo show. And you're like, it'll be better than all the other shows. I just don't want to make the rest of the team feel bad. I can't do it.
I don't know. We've had a lot of shows come out this week. I think some
had a
folks
lot of
might
shows.
disagree. Yeah.
Brand new. How does it feel to be king of an empire now?
Oh, Empire? You mean how does it feel to be on the hook for the bill and all the editing processes and all that? Sure.
All the editing and hey, you're out of storage again, so you need to pay us some more money.
Bump that up a little bit. I think Kevin. Yeah, I think Kevin's a better person to answer for that. He's the one coming up with theme songs and music edits. And he's like, he wrote me earlier. He's like, "What have we done?" But no, this is exciting. It's kind of in a way everything that I wanted PSVG to be. You know, like when we first started, I always kind of had that dream of let's get a bunch of folks together and let's like have, you know, branded shows. Let's have shows that go out. It wasn't, and that was never really intended. I was never like, I want to create a podcast network. That was never the goal.
Right.
The goal was always like, let's have an Xbox show and a Nintendo show and a PlayStation show. And then I guess after 2 years of talking to each other, some folks were like, no, we're going to do video games and we're going to do early morning newscast. And Jason and I are still here. Like, we just want a Nintendo show. That's all we're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, and you know, for people that maybe haven't listened to other things, I don't know how you would miss it because it was the last full-on Play Some Video Game show, and all the other shows come in the same feed. But we have mixed up Play Some Video Games, and now we have multiple shows. So instead of just your standard PSVG podcast, which still exists, but we have offshoots now. We have a board game focus show. We have an early morning gamer show. What's the theme of Coach's show? Is that Xbox?
It's Coach Mo's Overtime is what we're calling it.
Overtime
with Coach, something like that. Coach Mo's Overtime, OT with Coach, Coach's OTs. I don't know, something like that. Something on that realm.
So we have target audience specific shows, and they'll all come through the same feed you're already subscribed to. So feel free to download them, check them out. If it's something you're not interested in now, maybe you will be. So it might be worth checking out. Now this, we almost rebranded, but we thought the Nintendo Shack it's been there since day one with Play Some Video Games. So we had
such a good name.
Yeah. And Donnie already had the domain paid for. So I mean,
it goes a long way.
We decided to run with it. So this is the Nintendo Shack XL Galaxy Edition, as I stated, our strictly Nintendo news and game focus podcast for PlayStation video games. So, being on an inaugural episode, we thought let's talk about something that's current, something that's captured our attention, a game that we love, and that is none other than Golf Story, a recent indie release by Sidebar Games. I've got all my information correctly.
Yeah,
it's been out 2 weeks now on Thursday, or is it 3 weeks?
That's a good question. I don't know. 2 weeks sounds right. 2 weeks sounds.
I think about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I think that has to be because I've logged like 15-ish hours into it, so I think right around 2 weeks. So a game that we basically knew nothing about except we saw the few trailers at the E3. I think the first time we saw it was at the E3 little indie showcase.
Yep.
Or was it? And then again with the Nindies Focus Direct. And obviously it got Donnie's interest. It's a golf game. It's on the Switch. He's all in. Say no more. And wait, there's disc golf too. Boom. It's done. It's done. Day one purchase, Donnie Reese.
Why does every time we get together to talk, disc golf comes up? Why is this like a focus of us? Like
I don't even play disc golf. That's the funny thing. I don't even play. I could. It's right down the road. I could walk there.
You're right. Yeah, all my excitement from this game came just from the moment I laid eyes on it. It's such a good style. 16-bit. So if you haven't seen it, you have no idea what we're talking about. 16-bit, looks like Earthbound or Super Mario World or something along that lines. And it's a golf game, which, yeah, got me excited, but it's not a golf game. It's not Tiger Woods or Hot Shots. I mean, it's more like Mario Golf GBA. It's an RPG game that just happens to have you playing golf, which is something we haven't had in a while. And it's really unique. And I like it when indie studios do this. I mean, you're offering something new to the marketplace. And yeah, I'm really impressed. I haven't beaten it. You have.
I have. I have finished it.
My Switch tells me I've played it over 15 hours, but I don't know exactly how many hours I've played it.
Well, you've done some of the extras too. I mean, you and your wife played the
quick play.
The quick play, yeah, and I've only done story mode, so I mean,
my son has played quick play with me as well.
Yeah,
I just got to Blue Dunes, I think is the name of the course.
Spoiler alert: you don't have a whole lot left then.
Oh, okay. I'm near the end.
Yeah,
I just got there today. I finished the tournament and walked up there and got to the thing. I was like, "That's a good point to save."
Yep. When you finish the tournament at that course, that's technically where the game ends. Now, afterwards, you can continue to play, but it doesn't like shut you out or anything. It's just like if you go into your storybook afterwards, it's like, well, I just have to enjoy life now. That's your quest. You enjoy life, and I'm assuming you can probably just go and keep golfing and
side quests and all that.
But yeah. So first of all, when I first I think it's quite impressive that this Sidebar Games was it's largely a two-person team.
Two-person team.
And they did this in like a year's time. They made this game. I think that's an impressive achievement. Even so, yeah, I mean it's a 16-bit pixel art game. I still think there's a lot there. They really put a lot of charm and life into this game, not just with the dialogue, but there's all these. You have your character, but there's a nice supporting cast that they made all feel unique and have some personality, which isn't exactly an easy feat with a simple 2D style of game of this matter. But I felt like a lot of charm and care was put into this, and I think that's really what helped lead to the appeal that I have with Golf Story, because I much like you at that first impression, I was like sold on the graphics and that whole style of game. And oddly enough, I've always enjoyed golf games, but I've never owned a golf game. I had like a demo for Hot Shots on PlayStation, and I loved that. You got to play like 3 holes. And then I played back in my LAN party days, we would usually always obtain a copy of Tiger Woods, whatever version, which was really fun to play on the PC, because to actually swing the club, you'd move your mouse up, and it was just really felt rewarding to bring the mouse back and then pull it forward. And
like Golden Tee.
That's how you'd hit the club, which was nice. And you could actually, you could put a draw or a fade on it, a little bit how you did that. And yeah, the create a roster, that was fun because we played that. And then we touched on this in our conversation, and unfortunately I couldn't be on the podcast, but then you mentioned Sim Golf. And again, that was another game that we played. And it's funny we talked about that because you mentioned how much this game reminds you of that. And I agree, because it just feels there's some intricacies there, very similarity. So I've always enjoyed golf games, just never owned one. I'm glad this finally got me in. I'm so looking forward to a Mario Golf on Switch because I can't wait for that portability. And I enjoy the arcade golf experience. But after playing this, I would love an online 16-bit golf game. I would love to be able to play Golf Story just with together. Other people. Yeah, I think that would be hilarious, especially because the courses they're not so absurdly fictitious, but they have enough little quirks about them, I think, that find them interesting.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that. So why don't you start, Donnie? What were your initial impressions of Golf Story?
Well, I played probably my first 5 hours in the game in portable, and I was like, this is everything I wanted it to be. It's a golf game. It's fun. Dialogue's great. Like, it is. If you've ever played those games, you know what you're in for. If you've never played any game like the Mario Golf RPGs, especially on Game Boy Color, GBA, and you have no idea what we're talking about, it's kind of like Earthbound, the golf game. Has a lot, it kind of has a lot pull from there in terms of like your quests and your storylines and how you go about doing things, and it's very Earthbound-ish, or like maybe even a Harvest Moon flair there. It looks great on the TV. It scales incredibly well. And I feel like we've gotten 2 indie games back to back that I feel like are showing me how that should work with SteamWorld Dig and Golf Story. They look fantastic in either mode. Like you don't notice a difference on either side. You're just like, it looks great over here, looks great on TV. The sound design in Golf Story and the music and the sound effects and the way that the HD rumble plays into the sound effects when you play the game is really, really good. I really enjoyed that. It's a small effect. The music is fantastic, actually. But yeah, I mean, my first impressions when I got into the game was this was everything when they first showed it. When I first saw, I was like, that's a golf game. And then I was like, it's a 16-bit golf game. And then I was like, and there's RPG elements. And it just delivers on that. It delivers on that in spades. And I mean, you're telling me I'm towards the end. So I mean, was it $15, right? $14.99.
Yep.
It's like an hour of content per dollar.
Yeah.
Ish. Plus, you totally have this quick play mode that we are enjoying as a family. It's fun. It's, I mean, I'll go ahead and say it. It's not the world's best golf game, right? Like, it's cool that you can just play golf if you want to play golf. Like, if you have no want to do the story mode at all, if none of that appeals to you, you can just play golf. And on the Switch is the best golf game on the Switch because that mini golf game is terrible. So it's fun to play quick play, and the kids and I have had it. But, you know, the putting mechanics are simple, and so is chipping. The real fun about it is the arcadey nature that the courses have to the gameplay, the setup. There are obstacles right in the middle of the fairway that you have to avoid and stuff like that, and there are secrets and paths that you can take. That's the fun part of playing the game.
Yeah.
I think the controls offer a lot of variety into playing the game because I'll say a pro and a con about the controls here, but I love that with the trigger support. So the Switch has 4 triggers. You got the left and right bumper and the left and right trigger, and Golf Story uses all 4 of them. So the left and right trigger, you can set distances per club. So if you have too much club, which you'll find yourself a lot because the courses are actually somewhat short. Like I never really felt like I didn't, you know. So so the triggers are fun. You can hold those down, and then the right and left bumpers set overspin and backspin. And there's a lot of times where you need to do 2 or 3 at one time to pull off the perfect shot. So there were several times where I was playing the game where I was like, all right, left trigger, oh, that's not close enough. Right trigger, okay, now I need backspin. Or like you're doing it the opposite way where you've got like the 2 over here, and you grab it, and then you press like the button and you set the power and stuff, because you can set the power level on your bar as well as direction left and right. So like there's a lot of, it's somewhat complex for a golf game. You know, it's not as simple as like Hot Shots 3 swing, just click, click, click. It can be, but there's a little more. If you're going after the perfect shot, there's a little more to it than that. The only thing that I will say is because the short game part of the game, or of the mechanic, is so simple, I really wish that they didn't let you set the power with the Y button. Because you can really kind of dial in, because there's a marker on the screen that shows you like where your power level is. If they just gotten rid of all that, it would have added a little more guesswork and skill to the game that I think would maybe made up a little bit for that.
That's how I played like the first half hour. I didn't realize how to use the precision mode, so I was putting. And I was like, well, I feel this is going to be
smack it way off.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's funny. I don't even remember. Like I remember we had chatted early on. Like I don't even know how do you do backspin, and I don't remember how I finally discovered. I think I just went into the controls, and I looked at what all the buttons said. It's like, oh, that's how you do it. I don't remember ever explaining.
It never did. I haven't seen it. What I did, I was in the overworld. If you press one of the buttons, I'm not sure, it just pulls up a controller. And I was like walking through the overworld, and I just tried to, I don't know, I just hit it by mistake, and I was like, oh, backspin. That's been there the whole time. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I agree on like the golf mechanics and things, but it is cool how you can, you can curve your, you can change the trajectory of your shots, and then apply spin and then you have like you have a certain amount of energy per whatever you're doing, like per 9 holes, and you can use that for enter a precision mode where your meter moves slower, so it's a little easier for you to line up the shots. Or you have power mode, and you'll get a little further drive. Touching on the music that you mentioned, I got a real I really enjoyed the themes they had. My one, if I had to give a slight beef with it, I did find it a little frustrating. I wouldn't just say frustrating, but a little repetitious. How, especially when you were doing, let's say you're doing match play, so you're playing 9 holes, and you would, the way the songs would loop back was a little bit of annoyance after a while for me, because it would stop at an awkward point and then the song would just start over from the beginning, so you're just getting that same song over and over.
Okay.
But I mean, the themes were enjoyable, so it wasn't bad. But I do like how you got that different little more higher stakes music when you're putting, especially like for a birdie or for an eagle, and it's like
dun, 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 dun.
Just brings ups the ante a little bit. But for me, like, that music just felt nostalgic for me, because for whatever reason, it really reminded me of my youth and playing various LucasArts adventure games, particularly like Sam and Max, because they had a really heavy, like, MIDI-centric soundtrack. And just the way some of these songs sounded, I just totally took me back to that same era, and I could totally hear something very similar. So I just, for that alone, I just really dug the music. But the music was great. The sound effects are good. And I just, like, what I really liked that this game did that I'd like to see others incorporate, I love how animated they were with the chat bubbles.
Yes.
So the character dialogue, they used a lot of expression with the way the bubbles would pop up or tip or move.
Tilt.
Just a lot of animations of those, which gave a text-based game additional character to help express moods and things from your character, which I really liked. I did find it interesting, these developers are Australian, so there's a lot of like Australian slang and things in there. So it was funny because on my one Discord server, we have a few members that are from Australia. So we were talking to them about, oh, what does this mean? And what is this? And then what's the deal with sausage rolls? Why are those so popular?
To touch on the dialogue, it's so good. I feel like
it's very well written.
It is. I feel like you'll miss a lot if you're not a golfing person. I mean, I played golf in high school and early college, and I've golfed my entire life. And as you mentioned, I played disc golf. I know so much of the lingo that this game has, and it makes so much fun of golf. Like, there's so many hidden golf things there. I mean, even at like when you don't move, your character just starts swinging. Like, he just starts practicing his swing with no club. And if you've ever seen any golfer do that, like, every golfer has done that before. They stand there and just shadow golfed, and which is great. And then all of that rap battle. I mean, that's got to be that's like the highlight of the game for me.
Yeah. I wasn't sure when it was gonna end, though. It just kept going, and I'm just like,
it was so good. I took so many screenshots. I have like 60 screenshots from that 5 minutes of game. It's for anybody who doesn't know. We can spoil it, right? Like, that's what we're doing. We're doing a little review
spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
I laid it out there. It's there.
That's it. So, Golf Story, you go to this club. It's very fancy schmancy, and most of the membership are older members that believe in playing golf the old way of playing golf, which is still so funny, right? That's great because they're golf, that's a stereotype that golf has. And then these kids come. These kids and their disc golf and their bocce ball and all that
hip hop music.
Their hip hop music, and they totally get into a rap battle where you've got like the kids talking about like, he hits his driver so far, like the old people can't keep up and stuff. And then the old people jump in and they start rapping, and I just didn't expect. I was like, what? And it's really good. Everything rhymes and it makes sense, and it's within character, and it's making fun. It's all golf puns. Oh, it was fantastic. It was so good. And then just, like Max Yards, like there's
Max Yards.
I want to name my next dog Max Yards. Like, that's such a great name.
I love how every time he drives too, the golf ball catches fire.
That sound mechanic when you hit that perfect shot is real rewarding too. I mean, you get way into it. But to finish on that, I mean, there's just so much. A lot of the reviews that I read, because I was all over reviews the day it came out, you see the word charming everywhere. Everybody calls the game charming, and I think a lot of that is where it gets charming. A lot of the puns that they make you do, the way they play on stereotypes, like the golf kids trying to raise the dead that you run into in the cemetery, and the ghosts are real funny. the course, the groundskeeper, and how much Caddyshack Bill Murray is there, and he's taking out the mole rats. I mean, it's just all of that. It's all of this like 80s cheese, like golf putt, like it's just all there. And if you take the time to read it, I mean, it's really a lot of fun. And then the side quests really keep it very varied and lighthearted, which goes a long way, you know, to keeping you engaged and keeping you playing. Because if it was just a golf game, if all you did was play golf, standard golf, you know, I wouldn't be so high on it. It was the other things. I mean, I bought the game because it was a golf game. It's the other stuff that really sets it apart and raises the bar. Just fantastic.
Yeah, I think I was pleasantly surprised overall with just the amount of content that you got for, like we said, this is a $15 indie game. We weren't sure what to expect, and then I think it more than delivered just with the length of the story, but what was there along the way. Because, you know, we knew we had RPG elements. What does that mean? Are we just going to be playing golf? Are we going to have some weird quests? You know, what does that entail? So, I mean, it's got a rinse and repeat formula with each new course you get to, but it somehow still feels refreshing and fun each time you go to a course to do it. I mean, your ultimate goal is you'll play the 9 holes on the course, but you're always like, you're almost learning something that's just going to help you, you know, that like how to set up different shots or how to, you know, play through different lies, things of that nature. But it was just, I don't know, it was just always entertaining enough. And then the fact that you'd go through, you know, a straight up 9 holes or a match play, which is always fun. And I tell you what, like, my one complaint might be that until I got to that last course, nothing was really difficult. I mean, you'd win a tournament by 10 strokes. I mean, nothing was really that tricky. And then finally, like, just doing the side quest on that last course, I had to retry one like 5 or 6 times because the shots, they were really difficult because the hazards are right there. They're having you really try to land in a really narrow lie. Plus the wind's constantly changing. It was a little tricky, but it was fun all the same. The character building, I don't know how important that really is. I mean, I'm not sure if there's like a preferred build, so to speak, that really will help you. I kind of would basically, I'd up my power and then get all my other stats to where I'd like it, and then I would just up my power and repeat. I think I had like a plus 200 on my spin. I had like plus 40% accuracy. I had a no draw, and I think I had like my average drive was like above 250.
That's about where I am.
About the time I was done. It was a nice feature that they had different equipment you could swap out, but I never really found myself, once I had a couple of set clubs, I didn't really ever change, you know, the equipment that I had.
Did you always have to play Tidy Park with the old clubs? Because they make a mention, they'd let you know that like this one member played with new clubs and they threw them out, and I was like, oh, so I can't play with them. And I never thought to try. I was like, I don't want to get thrown out, so I just kept playing with the old clubs anyway. Like, I wonder if you just totally could. Like, just.
I loved, you know, I just loved like how much like character they were able to put into the courses too. How each course had that unique feel and had its own theme. And I just liked how you get there for the first time and you get that nice little cinematic
overview,
scrolling by of the little overview. And I was just like, this, it's just, I don't know. This game made me smile, you know, so many times. And I loved, you know, so much about it. The one issue I might have is when you'd have to play a specific challenge, like with your coach, for instance, and then he would drive and he hits the ball like 10 yards, and it just got old after a while because there's a couple does that game.
You have to do it a few times.
I'm just like,
they just put you about a stroke behind on every hole.
Yeah, which wasn't a big deal, but it's like, let me drive. I want to drive. Let them do the short game.
That's the fun part.
But it was all right. But I do like the arcadey nature of it. But that game was really forgiving on chips.
Oh, I mean, you chip in from everywhere.
Oh yeah. Getting that the Monster Eagle feels so good, you know. But I have to say, as I mentioned, like the difficulty ramping up in that last hole, I won that last tournament at break even, and I was tied. Like it came down to the last hole,
Wow.
and I had a 1-stroke lead going on. No, I blew it. I had a 1-stroke lead on the 8th hole, and I got a bogey, and I was like, ah. Oh. So I'm tied going on the 9th hole, and I was in a terrible lie, and I had to get I think I chipped in for par from about 30 yards from the pin. So I got this crazy BS bouncing, hit the flag to win the hole. So
That's a great way to go.
Yeah, it was, so at least, the game built it up, and made me feel good. Have you experienced the what do they call it in there? What is the golf? They have that little golf video game inside of the
golf.
game. Golf. Have you played that?
Yes. That's not fun.
Did you get stuck inside of it? Because once I got in there, I couldn't figure out how to get out.
No, I thought I did, because I know what you're talking about. I started playing and I was like, I'm gonna have to reset the game. And
I couldn't figure out how to exit it.
So what you had to do is you had to press like the X button to get back to the TV, and then the start button to quit the game. But you didn't quit the game, you just quit golf. Which
they don't show anywhere or prompt you.
There's none of that.
Which I feel like that was something they might want to patch in. Because I heard there was another issue where people were getting some sort of bug was glitching out the game at some other point too.
Game-breaking bug. I was reading up on it because it came out. Kalo actually told us about it in our chat, and I was right about where he was when he sent it. There's a part where you're at the Tidy Park Mansion, and you have to go around the mansion and unlock a bunch of stuff to advance the story. And if you save the game inside the mansion before you finish it, it just glitches out, and your character gets super small, and you just can't get through it. It's like a game breaking bug. And there is a patch on the way. Sidebar, one of the things we didn't mention is Sidebar didn't do any pre-release copies. Apparently nobody got a copy of this game. I think Eurogamer was the first one up with a review, and it was the day that the game came out. And I mean, reviews were very typically that spells bad news. Typically that's not a good sign. And not only did they not send out any pre-release, there was just really nothing about it. I
haven't read any of the reviews for this game. I think I purposely ignored them all. I still haven't even looked at any.
I mean, I always do that. I'm that person. I don't like buying things without feeling somewhat informed, even if it's only $10 or $15. But they didn't really do much marketing either. They didn't go on IGN and play the game. They didn't go on podcasts. They weren't really doing much. It was a really quiet. It was like a stealth launch. It was here's the game. It comes out, and I saw all these people. There were several people days after the game came out, and they're like, I'd love to review this if I get a code for the game. I'm like, obviously, dude, they want you to buy it. Just go buy it. But yeah, so that game, I did experience 2 bugs. One of them was on the disc golf course.
I had a bug myself as well.
So I threw my disc into a picnic table, and it never hit the ground. So it just kept bouncing inside the picnic table. And the disc golf I don't enjoy. As much as I like disc golf, I don't enjoy it. That wasn't fun.
What about flying that? Did you fly the drone?
Yeah, that was better than I thought. That was better than the disc golf, especially because with the
thing you can probably speak better with the disc golf too. I just like you can just throw from infinity.
Yes.
You can get hole-in-ones on every course on disc golf.
Yeah. And the disc golf thing really bothered me because they put you in these weird stages where you had to throw it through a bunch of gates and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But it's right as you throw it. So it's as soon as you throw it, you've got to turn immediately. And if you turn too much, it's very, very finite, and you have to be, you have to fail a few times before you figure out what they're asking for.
I feel like that was something they might have added in extra afterwards just to, build up the game. I think obviously the golf portion was their main focus, and then they'd be let's do a little disc golf too on the side.
I mean, it was funny. I like the theme.
Yeah.
I loved it when they were we got to get these disc golfers out of here. That was great. And then I love the disc golfers. I love the first time you interact with the disc golfers and they're telling you about how they're playing the way golf's meant to be played. None of that ball stuff. I mean, it's so the writing is it's so good. And then I had one where I hit this perfect drive, and the ball just went. It just went, and the cameras panned to the edge of the map. And it was just and the sound was making it sound like the ball just kept going. It's just whoa, and it never hit the ground.
Never.
And the camera's just sitting there, and I'm
you just got a hold of it, man.
What am I supposed to do? On both instances, I had to reset the game. The one time I did the disc golf one, because you know what I'm talking about, like the disc golf challenge.
Yep.
You have to do like 4 or 5 of them to get out of there.
Yeah.
I had to redo all of them, and I was quite displeased. I was like, it was what I did not want to do. I was like real scared. I was like, oh man, I hope I don't have to. And I did. I had to redo all the challenges. And the other one, I lost my progress on the course. Like when it brought me back, I could jump right back into the tournament because it was in a tournament. It was a 9-hole match. So I lost like 4 holes, but that wasn't that big of a deal. Not like the disc golf.
Yeah. The main one I ran into was actually it was in Tidy Park, and it's when you're playing the match game against Laura. Isn't that her your counterpart there? So I think I lost to her on the first hole because I still was like, for whatever reason, I was struggling with a little bit of the game mechanics at that point. And then the screen went black, and I could hear like the sound effects were still looping. And then when it came back, I was on the 3rd hole, and it gave me the win on the 2nd hole. So we like completely skipped the 2nd hole.
That's
and it gave me stuff. Yeah, and it gave me the win, and then we were on the 3rd hole.
That's crazy.
So I don't know, but I loved. Speaking of her, I loved her character. Like how she was at the beginning, she's so bad. She's like, "Watch this shot," and it goes out into the water. But I don't know. It would be interesting if it happens to you because you play a match game against her in the on that last course that you're on. And a one shot, I think the first hole, it was either the first hole or one of the first few holes, and she's like, "Watch this," and she just line drives it straight into the hole, gets a hole in one.
Wow, nice. How many hole in ones did you have?
I think I got 2 or 3. Okay. I think total, and I got a couple Mega Eagles, and I almost got I almost had a whatever's next. What comes before an Eagles? Is it actually called an Albatross?
An Albatross, yeah.
I almost had
2 of those,
but I screwed it up.
I've had 2 of those. Did you watch any of my streams?
I haven't watched any of your streams yet.
There's this part I was kind of embarrassed when I figured out. There's a stream. So what's the course up in the sky with all the birds? Cheeky Beak Peak.
Cheeky Beak Peak, yes.
So there's a part in that where you had to hit all of the eggs back to the birds.
Yes.
Right. Yep. And there's these circles on the ground. They're different colors of red, purple, orange. So I'm at the red one, and you have to hit it over this canyon up to the green where all the birds are. And I do it. And it was my last one. Like it was the last circle. So I did the blue one, I did the orange one, I did purple one. I was like, all right, so this is simple. You go to the circle, you hit it to the bird grabs the ball. So I did it, and nothing happened. I was like, well, that's weird. Maybe it's a glitch. And I did it again, and I did it again, and I did it again. And I'm like, something's not right. So like I go into the pro shop and come back out, and I do it again, and I'm like, maybe I have to hit this in the hole from here. And it's like a 230-yard shot. Like you're hitting a driver, like. And I sat there on the stream for like 20 minutes until I threw it in the cup from there. And then it still didn't. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like it's got to be broken or something. So I'm walking around. I'm going everywhere. I'm just scanning. I'm like, something. I don't have something. So then I just I go back to the thing and I start going over to the right. And there's like an island out in the clouds that you can't walk to that has one of the other. You had to hit to 2 birds. The red one had to go to a bird on the left and the bird on the, and it was the only one that had. And I just felt like an idiot. I was just like, oh my god, why did I sit there and do that for so long? But no, I had a few hole in ones. I had 2 double eagles. I just beat the Gentleman's Park. I was 11 under. So I mean, nice. I've had very little. I think I posted a screenshot. I think it was 9 under in the first tournament.
I think you were 9 under on Tidy Park.
Like I have not had much.
No,
I beat the match play where they parry up with the old man. I beat them and like I beat them straight holes. Like I beat them the first 5 or 6 holes. Yeah, I was just like.
I love how it ends the match. Then right there too, when you there's no way they can catch up. I love how it just ends. I'm like, sweet. Now I wish it would do that on challenges, like when you have to hit, land 5 out of 5, and you've got like 12 shots. So let's say I land at my first 5, and then you still got to play all the 12 shots. And it's just like,
I'm gonna ask you to spoil something for me.
It's nitpicking.
Does Coach get the girl?
It never really kind of leaves that open.
What a bummer.
I mean, it definitely like they get closer together as the story, but. I like how it does what it does with, like, it gives you that little heartwarming, now that I'm, a new father, anything about parenthood and stuff like that just kills me. And all me 80 now, but I like how, you get that your intro to the game, your tutorial is like your dad teaching you golf.
Yeah.
But then your dad's like, I guess he's dead because he doesn't ever.
He's gone.
Like,
your wife's divorced you. We completely passed on. Your wife divorced you.
Wife divorces you. Yeah. And then, so you've seen it when Coach's son, in the picture, and then you get more backstory about that. I just love.
Hits you in the fields.
And that's like when Coach is like, I got hurt. And he's like, what happened? And then it shows you, and he gets hit with a golf ball.
And I love the Coach stuff. I mean, it's so much. There's so much Rocky, like Happy Gilmore to it. And, you'll never amount to anything, kid. You suck. Like there's so much '80s cheese.
His swing is so unorthodox, but
it's I can't teach him. Yeah, and the whole thing, like your swing is too pretty to play. Like just the whole game. It's so good.
Yeah. Every time you win a tournament, they cut you off and don't let you talk. And they
and the thing that I like, it's really, this is how I wish most games were. I love the short release window. Like here's a snippet of it. Oh, and it's out.
Yeah.
Like we didn't know about this game for 4 years. Like A Hat in Time just released. I remember chasing stories about that game in like 2012 when it was still like kickstarted for Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
And it just came out for PC. Like we're still waiting for, so it's like, I love the fact that it was like, no, here's the game we're working on.
Yeah. And they purposely didn't tell you, because they didn't tell you anything about it too. Because we're like, it's a golf game with the story. What is that? And all we saw was like that one trailer, and we're like, I don't know. But in this case, I mean, kudos to them because it totally paid off. I think it really helped the appeal of this game. I mean, do we want to just go ahead and do you want to score it right now too?
Yeah,
put it on PSV. I think I'm going to give it, I would give it a 92.
Wow.
I think.
That's so much higher than me.
Yeah, I just really liked it. I like it. For me, it checked so many boxes, and because it's $15 game based on the amount of game that I got for that.
That's true.
I found the story to be entertaining and engaging. Because I at first glance I was like somewhere in the 80s, but I feel like this game is just better than that. Because I feel like most of the games I ever score, I'm like, 82 from me.
It does feel. I do feel like it's like the easy way out sometimes. Like it's real easy to just give a game like something in the 7s or 8s. I mean, I think I'm going to score it somewhere in the 80s, some in the low 80s. I go like 80, 83.
Okay, so about like an 85, 86 is where we'd be at for a median.
It has nothing to do like value wise. It's incredible. $15, you can't go wrong. Exclusivity. If you've got a Switch, you buy this game. I really hope it's timed exclusive. I hope other people get a chance to play the game. It's really good. You should play it. I mean, it's really, really, really good. But I mean, I also look at it as the golf is really simple, and so that's where like it's not really a golf game. It's more of an RPG that plays golf, and then. I
don't see myself going back to it, unfortunately.
There you go. That's I was like, it's also the storyline is kind of simplistic, and I would say overall, I feel like the golf's kind of repetitive. I might be saying that because I played quick play. Like I've probably golfed more than you've golfed.
Yeah.
Whereas you've beaten the game and I haven't. Like because I'm not the story stuff. While it's fun, like some of the story stuff, I'm not like super high on. Like that mansion where I had to like go collect all the different balls. I was like, this is a bit much, and especially when you get into the quest where it's like you're in one course, but now you've got to go to the other course to like dig up the club to come back to the course. That type of stuff. I'm like, all right, now you're just making the game longer now. Like this totally could have been where I was, but now you're making me go all the way over here to go to. So that's not necessarily a knock against the game. That's what RPGs are. That's what we come to expect them. It's not necessarily something that I really like, but because it's kind of like it's kind of like a taste of two worlds, right? It's like, here's this game, this kind of golf game. And it's like, oh, I like golf games. And it's like, it's the kind of RPG games. I like RPG games. If you're really wanting like a lot out of either one of those, it's kind of like a casual version of both.
Yeah.
So just because of that, and I'm going to pull in the Seth factor here. I'm getting scared of giving games, like high or too low scores. And as Seth come back, why'd you say this? You say so. So I'm a little hesitant here. 90s and 90s scores for me, I think I reserve for those really, really impactful games. And I think this is just a really, really good one. Totally in my top 25 Switch games, hands down at the moment. Might even be top 10 for me at the moment. But I wonder, 5 years of games come along where this one will sit, probably towards the back.
Hey, if nothing else, I think it's put Sidebar on my radar as like a developer I'd like to watch, and especially if they keep, I don't know if doing this aesthetic, the 16-bit pixel type games is what they plan to continue doing, but it definitely makes me interested in what they want to, do in the future. Whether, is that going to be a golf story too? I mean, I'd
be down for a sequel.
I'd be down for a sequel, but I'd like to see them tackle something else too, because of what they've showcased with their ability to create a narrative and to make that entertaining and to take something that we wouldn't find to be interesting in that sort of way and totally make it work. So my hat's off to them. And, it's a great game, Golf Story. You should definitely, I think, check it out. And, hey, let us know what your thoughts are. So that's the main focus of the show, but we did have a little side topic to talk about. We have a little time left. And that, Donnie, I haven't read up as much on this, so I'm going to default to you, but there's been, was it a copyright or what was it?
Yes, I was thinking, as you're sitting there saying, like, I'm going to throw it to you, I was like, I should pull up the news story. Yeah, there was a patent. Nintendo's patent. The Game Boy Classic trademark name, I believe. Yes, trademark filing for Game Boy Classic. So we've already kind of touched on this on PSVG podcast proper. And both of you, both of us, you and I, have been playing the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Mini Console.
Notice he did not say SNES.
Oh, no. I've made a whole new leap here. From now until the rest of eternity, anytime anybody wants to hear anything regarding this, I will call it Nintendo's Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Mini Edition console. And we're just going to have to wait for me to go back through all of it and say Nintendo Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Mini Edition console. And we are enjoying it. And that will be next week's show. We will talk about all the fun that we're having playing the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Mini Edition console. But with that said, when the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Mini Console was announced, we speculated, are we going to get the Nintendo 64 Classic?
I hope not. I don't want that ever to see the light of day.
Really? Never?
I don't have... No. I'm sorry. It doesn't work for me.
Okay.
I think, well... Okay, the games might hold up, but I'm sorry. I think the games from that era, not just on the 64, but most of anything that try to use polygonal graphics of that era looks like crap. I just don't think it holds up like anything else.
I think they could touch the ROMs. Yeah, they could do something like a pixel perfect mode. Like it can be enhanced.
Yeah. Now take that. I didn't grow up playing those games, so for someone that the 64 was their console of their youth, their main childhood console, then that's a little bit different.
That's
they
probably
might have more allure to that. While I grew up on the NES and the Genesis and the Super NES.
The Super Nintendo Entertainment System
Classic Edition.
I would be in favor of Nintendo 64 Classic. I just don't think there's as many games to pull from, and I think that might upset some people. And I also feel like really it better launch with 2 controllers, and if there's not a lot of games, I'd prefer if it launched with 4. I think it'd be great if they.
Let's face it, one of the best games they'd have on there is GoldenEye, and I don't know how well that would even. You can't even think you can even get that because of licensing and.
I mean, they did the GoldenEye remake, so I think that one they might be able to. But yeah, you're right. Most of the games that people are very fond of are licensed games that you can't get. You can't get those wrestling games.
NFL Blitz.
You can't get
wrestling games. Diddy Kong Racing. I don't know.
Perfect Dark.
That. Wow. Turok Dinosaur Hunter.
Right. You can't get any of them. Yeah. I mean, a lot of those games you're not going to get. So if it's a first party stable, which is more or less what we've seen so far, with a little, like maybe they can get Resident Evil, because they've gotten some Capcom support with some of these classic edition consoles. So if you're not going to get any of those, then it really becomes a first party box. And if we're leaning on Nintendo's first party stable for a Nintendo 64 classic console, I mean, I really think that number's at like 15. Like maybe they could stretch it to 20, but it's like, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Battle, but you get the 2 Zeldas, Mario, Mario Kart, Mario Golf, Mario Parties. That gets you to like
Tennis.
that gets you to like 10 or 12, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's that lineup doesn't hold up compared to the lineup that's found in the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Mini Edition console. So with that, it's going to be difficult. So when we were speculating this on the PSVG podcast, I think Kevin and I were like, they should probably go like, I was like GameCube, like just skip it and go straight to GameCube, be great. Yeah. And then Kevin was like Game Boy, and I rode those coattails. Game Boy would be fantastic.
That was, if I remember correctly, Kevin was more excited like maybe the Game Boy Advance, correct?
So one of the things, yes,
because I don't know how you feel about this, but the idea of a Game Boy Classic, no, thank you, no, thank you.
I was gonna say, so here's where Seth gets
I don't know how you feel about it, but I think nope. I'll just watch the dumpster fire from afar and be like, I'm out of this race. This feels great. Just like now, as I feel bad because people be like, oh yes, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Mini Edition is in stock. Oh, and it's out of stock again. And I'm just like, mine's right over there, just chilling. Thank you, Donnie.
So this is where Seth gets mad because I'm going to roll it back. I'm going to be a little hypocrite here, a little wishy-washy. So the thing that I told Kevin was I wouldn't be excited for a Game Boy, but I would be excited for like a Game Boy, like the entire Game Boy,
okay.
Not just the era, but like the brand.
Okay,
Game
that
Boy
I could
color,
I could get behind.
Yeah, all of Game Boy, the brand, into one thing. Because if you're just going to go to that monochrome Game Boy, like green screen, I don't want that either. Now,
what what do you put on that? I mean, there's Tetris.
Pokemon.
I remember playing Tetris and Breakout a lot. Then there's you get Pokemon, and then Super Mario. The Super Mario Land games were good, and then you had Wario Land,
Kirby.
But
Donkey Kong Land.
I mean, I don't want to play those games. I don't want to stare at that ugly green
golf,
and gray.
Tennis. You get those RPGs. No, I'm with you. I agree with you. Metroid 2, which apparently is really, I'd never played it. It was really bad. Both you and I played Return of Samus so far, and we beat it. So, I
don't know how. It's got to be hard to play a Metroid game when you only can fit Samus and one other sprite on the screen at a time.
That's true.
And that resolution, you don't got a lot to work with. I can get behind your idea. If it was the entire Game Boy...
Just Game Boy everything.
Game Boy everything.
That'd be awesome.
Because there's a lot of great Game Boy games.
GBA, GBC, Game Boy, like you throw in. Yeah, no, I think that's a cool idea. And maybe that's what they do. Like, I think it's got to have color. In today's world with like mobile phones and tablets, like if you're trying to sell that, I think it's hard sell. Now, so I got 2 points to make. If that's what they're trying to do, I still think it'll be successful. Not Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Mini Edition console successful, but I still think some people will like it. It'd be a cool gift to give children, and it's like a portable game console. It's got some games on it, and that's neat. I was thinking, like, as somebody who still has one of these, this 3DS here.
Yeah, I got one of those.
Any of those Game Boy games that they could put out, I have, especially because my primary interest would be Pokemon. I've got those. Like, they're here already. I wouldn't buy them again, and I wouldn't buy. This wouldn't even be. There you go. My kids have one of these.
I have a DS right here in my hands. With
so, like,
what do I have in this? What is this game?
Ooh,
I have.
I can't read. Oh, Zelda.
I have Zelda for the Game Boy Advance in my 2DS. Or my DS. Do I even have a DS game in here? I do. Mario Kart.
There you go. So, like, it would be hard for me, just personally, knowing that my kids have 3DSs and we have the Switch and we have access to all kinds of stuff, to buy one of those. But I think there's somebody out there that would buy them. I just think it would be diminishing returns.
You think they would touch it up, take the original games and import them into color?
No. That sounds like a lot of work. And, like, the whole point of this is to try and keep them, what they've done so far anyway is to try to keep them, as pure as possible. They haven't touched the gameplay at all. Or like even like the original graphics on the NES, they've just kind of kept it in that perfect pixel.
That's true.
So I don't think that's there. I'd be more excited. I'd be more excited for the N64 or the GameCube Classic Edition than the Game Boy. unless the Game Boy spanned, and I would say this to caveat, even if it was everything Game Boy, all Game Boy consoles, it'd really have to be a really good lineup. Because again, I have like the 3DS is like the epitome of Game Boy. If it doesn't have the exact game, it has like the best version of the game. You know, so it's I don't know, like I can't justify another Nintendo portable. I can't have 3 Nintendo portables. So.
Do you think they would make this a hybrid portable and let it connect to a television as well? You could play all these games on a portable device, look like the Game Boy brick, maybe even be able to play them on there, and then have some way you can connect it to the television and play them on a big screen.
I never even thought about that, to be 100% honest. I mean, essentially, they're all like these little Metro RetroPies, right? Like running ROMs. Mm-hmm. So I guess essentially they could without much more cost. Like I'd imagine they could emulate exactly the chipset that they have in the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Mini Edition console. I could imagine that they run that, you know, with Game Boy ROMs. I think they could. Yeah, I think that's very possible. It's just a matter of, you know, like if you're going to make it portable, I mean, it's got to have some sort of battery pack in it. And that's something that they're not currently doing. And that would raise the cost.
Yeah. Yep.
And if that raises the cost on what they already have, whew.
Yeah, that's tough.
I mean, but they're safe controllers. I guess. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Yeah. I'm looking at a list of the best Game Boy games. I mean, these are just the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. And I'm not like overly excited to play these. And I already have Pokemon Red, Blue, Gold, and Silver. Like it's a tough sell, I think, for any Nintendo diehard fan that already has a 3DS.
The best Game Boy game is Link's Awakening.
Link's Awakening is great.
That's my take. I love Link's. I had
that's 15th on this list.
I had a Game Boy Color, and that was like the first game I got was Link's Awakening DX, I think, which was the slightly colorized version of it.
I have that on here. I have the ROM. It's the same game. It's like $6.
Hey, what does Nintendo do better than anyone else? It gets us to buy the same crap over and over again.
That one I wouldn't do again.
Oh, Brian Altano is cursing you somewhere.
I mean, because I don't mind buying. I've bought the same. I don't mind. Like I'll buy Super Mario World on Switch. I will. Like that doesn't bother me at all. But I mean, I already. It's like how do you? All right. So the core problem with the Game Boy, and this only parlays to the 60 million 3DS owners that we already exist. How do you get me to buy the same game on a portable gaming system that I already have on a portable gaming system? Like that's a tough sell. Yeah. You know, it's not like the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Mini Edition console. It's not like that. I don't have all of those games in that form factor. I do. I have most of like 95% of all these games right here in the portable form factor. I don't know. Like when I heard the news, I was like, oh, that's hard. But if you don't have a 3DS, there you go. But I mean, is that your market?
Yeah.
Is that a market? Is that even a market?
Yeah. It'd be nice if somehow this just all relates to Virtual Console, and then, you know, we get that at some point, maybe. But let's face it, I don't think we're going to see any news on Virtual Console till the online service is a paid for service, and I don't know. I
think we get one more direct before the end of the year. What do you think?
That's another topic. That's a topic for a future episode. So
that's good. It's good.
I think that'll do it for us on the premiere of the new Nintendo Shack.
We're here.
DX XL Galaxy Edition. You'll want to come back next week so we can talk about what we're talking about again, Donnie?
Next week on the podcast, we're going to talk about the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Nintendo Classic Mini Edition console.
Perfect. I love it. Donnie, if people don't know by now, where can they find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter at PlayinNintendo. That's playing Nintendo with no G. You can also find me hanging out in the Play Some Video Games Discord, which if you're not a member of, you should be, because we talk about video games instead of working. And if you'd like to join, just head over to playsomevideogames.com and click the giant Discord banner on the homepage.
Right. And you can come join unless I don't like you, and then I will ban you because I have those powers.
If you piss Jason off, you're out of luck.
That's right. You're done. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at JW Lacey, as my banner here nicely displays. I do many things with play some video games. I'm on Discord. I live on Discord all day long. And I do another podcast called Flexipose you can check out as well if you would like. And hey, remember, boys and girls, well, this podcast, it's a fun journey. We'll be back next week. Check out the other podcasts here at Play Some Video Games. And most of all, never stop gaming.
Mahalo.